When you hear people talk about Cyberpunk 2077's endings, most will bring up the blaze of glory from the Ripper, the hopeful escape of the star, or the more recent tower ending from Phantom Liberty. But there is one ending you rarely hear in conversations, not because it's bad, but because it's heavy. The path of least resistance.
Cleanest, least bloody option.
And I think it's one of the most underexplored endings in the game. This was in fact my first ending, and it left me speechless. It felt abrupt and unfinished, like those awesome TV shows with very rushed and disappointing final episodes. But after sitting with it for a while, I decided to go back and really think about what the game was trying to say. And that's when I realized it might actually be one of the best written endings in the entire game. Unlike the other endings, the path of least resistance doesn't give you a clear continuation of your choices. It doesn't reward you with closure, or a sense that your journey led somewhere meaningful. Seeing V just give up on everything makes you feel like all you did up until that point was meaningless. But it's not true. If you take the time to analyze the ending, you'll see that it does something much more subtle. It forces you to look back at everything you did and reinterpret it, because suddenly, V's journey doesn't look like a fight for survival anymore. It starts to look like something else entirely. No matter where you start, nomad, street kid, corpo, you always end up in the same place. A mercenary trying to make it into the big leagues. You meet Dexter DeShawn, one of the worst characters in the game.
Yo, Mr. V, a pleasure.
Dexter DeShawn in the flesh. Ample indeed.
And you think this is it, your big break. You head to the Konpeki Plaza thinking that it would just be another walk in a park. But life has other plans. You find yourself witnessing the death of Saburo Arasaka at the hands of his own son. And from that moment, everything falls apart. Jackie dies, and you end up sharing the same fate. Shot by the very man who set you up in the first place. But unlike Jackie, your story doesn't end here. You wake up in a junkyard with a second chance at life. Or at least, that's what the game wants you to think. Because if you take a step back, something doesn't quite add up. When the Relic saved V, what truly happened? It's natural to think that V was simply revived. But if that were the case, you wouldn't have hallucinations nor experience painful episodes because of the Relic. I mean, look at Jackie. Although his time with the Relic in his head was short, he didn't experience any hallucination. In fact, nor did V until her untimely death at the hands of Dexter DeShawn. That's because the Relic was dormant. It only reactivated once he detected a dying host and immediately started rebuilding the brain to fit Johnny Silverhand's engram. And it's important to make the distinction between simple revival and reconstruction here. A revival means you're still the same person. It's like pausing your life and then resuming it like nothing happened. V, however, was never the same once the Relic activated. Literally, although the memories remained, V had already started merging with Johnny. But this idea or possibility is not questioned, not by V, nor by the player. Soul altering isn't too far-fetched in Cyberpunk. The entire world runs on the concept that consciousness is just data that can be copied, transferred, and even weaponized. Take Soul Killer for example. The name suggests it extracts your soul, but it doesn't. It scans your mind and creates a copy, which means the Johnny Silverhand we interact with throughout the game isn't really him. The original Johnny is already gone.
I have recognized your engram code.
And once you realize that, it becomes impossible not to ask the same question about V. Are we the original V? Are we merely a copy created by the Relic to keep the body functioning until Johnny overtakes it? Can we even call ourselves V when our existence is being rewritten every second we breathe? The game never gives you a clear answer about V's situation. And I don't think that's accidental. Because we experience the story through V, we are V. And the game finds a clever way to make you experience V's own feelings through its gameplay. It didn't just allow you to customize your character so you can feel more immersed. It allows you to customize your own character so you can feel attached to it. And I was quite attached to mine. My life path was nomad, and starting out outside of Night City was an incredible feeling because I got to discover the city alongside of V who was looking for a fresh start in a new place.
I guess one could say I'm from my own Haywood.
So you can imagine how I didn't want to lose a character I spent hours customizing, especially not in the first hour of the game. If you felt the same about your character, then you can understand that when the Relic gives you a chance to keep your character alive, you want to make it count. That's exactly how V felt. What if this second chance was never one to begin with? At first glance, everything V does feels like a desperate attempt to survive. The fights, the deals, the risks. V jumps from one conflict to another in order to find a way to get rid of the engram in his head. From Arasaka to the Aldecaldos, V will go as far as selling his soul if needed just to stay alive. It all looks like a race against time, but the path of least resistance reframes that completely. What if V isn't fighting to live, but fighting not to disappear? Because being overwritten by Johnny isn't just death, it's complete erasure. It's the idea that you never existed in the first place. In a world like Cyberpunk where violence and death are quite common, especially for Merc, it is far scarier to know that at any moment, you will just vanish. It is far scarier to know that at any moment, someone else will live their own life in your body. It is unfair to lose control over your own life and existence without being able to do anything to stop it. In a certain way, the desperate struggle becomes a sort of testament of V's existence. It's like telling someone, hey, I'm alive, I am still me. And if that is indeed the case, that would also mean acknowledging V's own death at the hands of Dex but refusing to accept it, instead choosing to chase the meaning of the short lifespan extension gifted by the Relic. And V fears this meaninglessness because it would negate everything that happened in their life, like Jackie's death. And that fear of losing meaning is everywhere in Night City. Takemura clings to Arasaka because without it, he has no identity. Panam searches for meaning in independence, only to realize it was always in her family. Judy never truly finds a place in Night City. The only person who gave her life some meaning died, and after finishing her quests, unless you romance her, she just leaves the city for good.
I'll stay here a couple days, then head off. It's been nice knowing you, V.
And Johnny. Johnny is what happens when someone refuses to accept that their life is already over. He's not just another person living in V's mind, he's also a manifestation of V's inner struggles. They have both lost control over their lives, but Johnny lost his body, and with it, the ability to change his fate. Johnny is a manifestation of one's inability to let go, to die an unfulfilled life.
What did I achieve shouting chipping in to a bunch of angry, pimply kids?
Johnny is bitter, hungry, and at the beginning of the story, he's just a selfish loser drowning in his own conceit. Throughout the game, V and Johnny are slowly merging, but although the game makes sure to constantly remind us how Johnny influences V because of the Relic, it also shows us something in a more subtle way, how V is challenging Johnny as well.
We're a tangled web, you and me, one and the same.
While it is the Relic that pushes V to act more and more like Johnny, it is V's self-resilience and stubbornness that pushes Johnny to eventually start questioning himself and have a change of heart. And it is that mutual influence that eventually starts to blur the line between them. But in the path of least resistance, something unexpected happens. For the first time, they stop fighting. Not because one has won, but because they both understand. This is the only moment in the game where V makes a choice that is entirely their own. No corporations, no government, nobody to force their hands. This is the only time the two souls sharing the same body understand and agree with each other. And it's not because of the merging, but rather because both souls finally fought their respective inner demons and regained control over their respective lives. That's why the perspective shifts in the last scene. We don't watch from this point of view, because at that moment, just for a few seconds, the two souls have stopped merging, and the V we played up until now, the mixed consciousness, stopped existing. In a certain way, maybe the Relic did give them both a second chance, but not to get a fresh start, but rather to find the peace they forsake before their untimely death.
Nice to be behind the wheel again.
Honestly, never felt better. Like in my life.
Thinking about their journey, I believe that dealing with Johnny's untamed rage and regrets helped V develop a more empathetic side and learn to cherish the little things in life. And in return, this empathetic side helped Johnny realize the error of his ways and find redemption and closure. And in the last scene, when they both sat down next to each other, V and Johnny finally came to terms with something they've been running from the entire game, their own death, and in doing so, they found peace. But what's Cyberpunk without some extra serving of tragedy, eh? By picking this particular ending, you realize that it is their pain and inability to accept their own death that gave them a chance to experience what could have been, to build meaningful relationships, to fix broken ones. And it is when they finally heal and regain their lost freedom that they end up hurting everybody who cared about them. But it's Night City, and happy endings aren't for sale.